this edition of News Today, a series in which we discuss and briefly analyze the important news of the day. Let's have a look at today's main headlines. The Prime Minister of India launches Mera, Yuva, Bharat platform on National Unity Day. The Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers released an approach paper on Draft National Pharmaceuticals Policy 2023. India is hosting the 6th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly in New Delhi. According to reports, the Indian Air Force has deployed S-400 missile units on China-Pak border. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways releases annual report on road accidents in India 2022. Report titled Convergence of Wildlife Crime with Other Forms of Organized Crime was released. Starting with the first news, the Prime Minister of India has launched the Mera Yuva Bharat or My Bharat platform on National Unity Day. The platform connects youth with programs and learning opportunities in businesses, government departments, and non-profit organizations. Let's take a closer look at the My Bharat initiative. My Bharat is an autonomous body that is being set up by the Government of India to provide an overarching institutional mechanism powered by technology for youth development and youth-led development. It is an initiative of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports to empower Indian youth through social mobility, educational equity, and practical skills. So, who are the targeted beneficiaries of My Bharat? The initiative will benefit the youth in the age group of 15 to 29 years in line with the definition of youth in the National Youth Policy. In the case of program components specifically meant for adolescents, the beneficiaries will be in the age group of 10 to 19 years. The establishment of My Bharat is anticipated to yield a multitude of benefits. It will develop leadership in the youth and lead to a better alignment between the aspirations of the youth and the community needs. Also, through convergence of existing programs, it can enhance their efficiency and act as a one-stop shop for young people and ministries. It will also create a centralized youth database and ensure accessibility by creating a phygital ecosystem, a blend of physical and digital experiences.
In another news, the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers has released an approach paper on the Draft National Pharmaceuticals Policy 2023. The Draft National Pharmaceutical Policy serves as a comprehensive framework to address the challenges faced by the Indian pharmaceutical industries and provides a definitive policy interventions to enhance the collective ecosystem. Let's have a look at the pharma sector in India and the challenges faced by them. India has the third largest pharmaceutical industry in the world by volume and is known as the pharmacy of the world, as India exports pharmaceuticals to around 200 countries and territories. Plus, the India's vaccine industry caters to more than 60% of the global vaccine demand. Coming to the challenges, there is a high degree of import dependence on active pharmaceutical ingredients and key starting materials. Also, there is a relatively low pace of development of biologics, biosimilars, and other emerging products and trends. In addition to this, regulation inefficiencies and the lack of skilled human resources and access to funding are also some challenges. Having said this, let's have a look at the objectives of the Draft National Pharmaceutical Policy. It seeks to foster global pharmaceutical leadership, promote self-reliance, advance health equity and accessibility, along with enhancing regulatory efficiency in the Indian pharmaceutical sector and attracting investments. The key focus area of the policy include nurturing and promoting research, development, and innovation, affordable, accessible, and equitable access to health coverage, facilitating access to funding, regulatory harmonization, initiate capacity building, and development of skilled manpower. Along with this, enhancing policy and program interlinkages, international collaboration, infrastructure enhancement, and strengthening of intellectual properties are also certain key focus areas.
In our next news, India recently hosted the 6th session of the International Solar Alliance Assembly in New Delhi. Let's first go into more detail about the International Solar Alliance or ISA. The ISA, headquartered in Gurugram, India, is a treaty-based international intergovernmental organization. It was conceived as a joint effort by India and France and was conceptualized on the sidelines of COP21 to the UNFCCC held in Paris in the year 2015. It has been signed and ratified by 94 countries including India, and the main goal of the alliance is to develop and deploy cost-effective and transformational energy solutions powered by the sun. Star C and One Sun, One World, One Grid are some of the major initiatives that the Alliance has launched over the years. The ISA Assembly is the apex decision-making body of the ISA in which each member country is represented. It meets annually at the ministerial level and makes decisions concerning the implementation of ISA's framework agreement and coordinated actions to be taken to achieve its objective. Coming back to the news, let's take a look at the key developments that took place during the 6th ISA Assembly. The viability gap funding cap for solar projects was increased from 10% to up to 35% of the project cost. ISA program for viability gap funding provides funding for projects in developing countries. ISA also announced that Global Solar Facility is set to receive a capital contribution of $35 million. Talking about the Global Solar Facility, it was approved by the ISA Assembly in the year 2022 and is expected to attract private capital to flow into off-grid solar projects, rooftop solar projects, and productive use solar projects. The facility provides a payment guarantee fund, an insurance fund to mitigate project risk, and an investment fund for technical assistance. The facility is designed to catalyze solar investments in underserved segments and geographies across Africa. After Africa, the facility aims to expand to regions such as Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East.
Moving on. As per the reports, Indian Air Force has deployed the S-400 missile units on China and Pakistan borders. In 2018 and 19, India agreed with Russia to procure S-400 missiles. The S-400 is one of the world's most advanced air defense systems. Let's have a look at the key features of S-400. It is a mobile, long-range surface-to-air missile system developed by the Russian state-owned enterprises. It has the capability to protect against almost all sorts of aerial attacks, including drones, missiles, rockets, and even fighter jets. It has a command and control center, automatic tracking and targeting systems, launchers, and support vehicles. It carries separate radar systems which can detect aerial targets to a range of 400 kilometers and can provide a surveillance of up to 600 kilometers. It can simultaneously engage 80 aerial targets. Also, it can hit targets up to an altitude of 30 kilometers. Having understood its features, let's have a look at its functioning. It detects an aerial threat approaching the air defense bubble, calculates trajectory of the threat, and fires missile to counter it. It has a long-range surveillance radars that sends information to the command vehicle. On identifying the target, the command vehicle orders a missile launch. When it comes to the strategic importance of S-400, it fills gaps in India's national air defense network and complements India's indigenous ballistic missile defense system. Before we conclude, let's compare the S-400 with other similar systems. Firstly, the US's THAAD. It is a one-dimensional missile system as it can fire only one type of missile up to a range of 150 to 200 kilometers and cannot intercept a fighter jet. Another system, which is the Patriot Advanced Capability 3 of the United States, has the ability to intercept aerial targets at a range of 180 kilometers. When compared to the Israel's Iron Dome, the S-400 has the capacity to protect a much larger area from threats that are much farther.
Moving on, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has released the annual report on road accidents in India 2022. Road accidents involve various factors like human error due to traffic rule violations and absence of safety devices, as well as road environment and vehicular condition. The report has been prepared as per standardized formats under the Asia Pacific Road Accident Database project. The project acts as a tool for the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific and its member countries to develop, update, maintain, and manage the road accident database. So what are the key findings of the report? Around 4.6 lakh accidents were reported, which claimed around 1.68 lakh lives, a 9.4% increase in comparison to the year 2021. India has been reported to have the highest number of accident-related deaths, followed by China. It was observed that the age groups of 18 to 45 accounted for 66.5% of total accident deaths. A greater number of road accidents were reported in rural areas. Further, overspeeding accounted for 72.3% of the total road accidents. The facts revealed in the report highlight the importance of road safety in India. The Ministry of Road Transport and Highways has formulated a multi-pronged road safety strategy known as the 4 E's: education, engineering, enforcement, and emergency care. The education component involves awareness campaigns, proper driving training, and organizing Road Safety Month or week. Engineering entails measures like road safety audits, electronic detailed accident report, and automated vehicle inspection centers. The enforcement component involves steps like Motor Vehicle Amendment Act of 2019 and electronic enforcement devices like CCTV. Under emergency care, Good Samaritan protection, compensation, and ambulance services are ensured.
Moving on, the report titled Convergence of Wildlife Crime with Other Forms of Organized Crime was released by the Wildlife Justice Commission. The Wildlife Justice Commission is a non-profit organization, and it highlighted the convergence of wildlife crime like poaching or trade in protected species in tandem with the other forms of organized crime. Before we dwell any further, let's understand what is organized crime. It is a criminal act or series of criminal acts committed by a member or members of an organized criminal gang. Coming back to the report, the examples of convergence of wildlife crime with organized crime includes trade of elephant ivory, pangolin scales, illegal sand mining, cash in transit heist, murder, and extortion. Let's have a look at key recommendations to deal with this convergence. Firstly, there is a need for more consideration to intelligence collection and organized crime group mapping. Plus, multi-agency cooperation to bring enforcement expertise to the target convergence is needed. Along with this, alternate legislation relating to convergent or ancillary offences and utilization of specialized investigation techniques such as undercover operations can be helpful. Having said this, let's explore some key agencies and bodies in this regard. Firstly, the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. It was established under the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2006. The South Asia Wildlife Enforcement Network, which is a regional cooperation body for curbing illegal wildlife trade in South Asia. Plus, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, also known as CITES, has been implemented from 1975, also caters to wildlife trade. Also, Traffic, established by WWF and the IUCN. It is a network for wildlife trade monitoring and has noteworthy role to play in this regard. The place in news for today is Thailand. Recently, Thailand has allowed visa-free travel for Indians from November 10, 2023 to May 10, 2024. Thailand, with its capital Bangkok, is a country in the Southeast Asia. Its neighbors are Laos and Cambodia in the east, Gulf of Thailand and Malaysia in south, Andaman Sea and Myanmar in the west. Coming to its geographical features, the country has two river systems, namely Chao Phraya and Mekong. The Isthmus of Kra between Gulf of Thailand and the Andaman Sea lies at the narrow neck of southern Myanmar and Thailand. Its highest point is Mount Inthanon.
As we conclude today's main news, let's take a look at some quick updates. The Companies Amendment Act of 2020 has been notified by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, allowing direct listing for certain class of unlisted companies. Direct listing is a process by which a company can go public by selling existing shares instead of offering new ones. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs reviewed the progress of Project Smart. Project Smart envisions developing surrounding areas of Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed railway stations. India's 12 blue flag beaches have become the face of tourist attraction. Blue Flag is one of the world's most recognized voluntary awards for beaches, marinas, and sustainable tourism boats. It is run by the international non-governmental organization called Foundation for Environmental Education, headquartered in Copenhagen, Denmark. The Uttarakhand government has decided to establish Rajaji Tiger Reserve Conservation Foundation. Rajaji Tiger Reserve is situated along the hills of Shivalik ranges in the transition zone between temperate Western Himalaya and Central Himalaya. Researchers in Manipur have discovered a new flowering plant species. It belongs to the angiospermic family Zingiberraceae, which includes curcuma, gingers, and cardamom. According to a study, low-income countries could lose up to 30% of nutrients from seafood due to climate change. The researchers projected that seafood-sourced nutrient availability would decrease by about 4 to 7% per degree Celsius warming. Carbon nanofluorettes made by IIT Bombay researchers can convert incident sunlight to heat with 87% efficiency. Integral Field Ultraviolet Spectroscope Experiment or INFUSE mission has been launched by NASA. Mission aims to spectroscopically image a region of Cygnus loop. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to the test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.